Okay, so I've been wanting to show you guys this recipe for the longest time, and I'm always like, okay, I need to make sure I have all the ingredients and I have everything in order. And it's not like that. I usually love to use fresh coconuts for this recipe, and I like to go down to the Indian market and get fresh coconuts and make coconut milk like 1 or 2 days in advance before I make this recipe. But today I have leftover rotisserie chicken that I made yesterday for me and my husband. And I'm like, oh my God, that dish is so good. So I'm gonna show you guys, this is the quick way to make it. It's one of my favorite dishes. If you wanna make this for your man, for your husband, if you're just single and you wanna chow down on this recipe is going to knock your socks off. It is very healthy. And so let's get into it. I'm gonna show you it and you better make it and let me know what you think of it. Okay, so I don't know why I said I made a rotisserie chicken. I did not make a rotisserie chicken. How do you make rotisserie chicken? I don't know. Do you put that like on the grill or something? Anyway, this was a honey garlic chicken that I slow roasted for the entire day yesterday. Me and my husband basically almost ate the entire chicken. I was so mad because I was like, what am I going to make for dinner today? And I came home and he had already eaten pretty much all of it. So there's not a ton of chicken left, but yeah, this was like a honey garlic roasted chicken that I did yesterday, which I should do a video on that because this is absolutely delicious. This is some wild caught shrimp that we got from Whole Paychecks. We call it Whole Paychecks because, man, so expensive. Groceries are insane right now, which, by the way, who are you guys voting for in this election? Let me know in the comments. But we get wild caught because, you know, they say it has less contaminants, heavy metals, pesticides, herbicides. So we usually try to get wild caught. Now, to any of my sister friends who already know how to clean the meat, you can go ahead and bypass this part of the video. But to all my little nieces out there, I wanted to include this part for you because I remember when I was a little girl and I watched my mom cleaning fish or chicken or shrimp or whatever she was making. It seemed so intimidating to me. I was just always worried as a kid of like, how am I going to know how to do this when I get older? I was such a worrywart as a little girl. But anyways, you just want to cut the back of the shrimp and you might see some black veins or this like yellow gunk or some really thick white stuff, and you just pull it out. As you can see, it's really gross. So you want to pull it out. I usually do this over the sink in some cold water with the water running as I'm washing it. But because the lighting in my kitchen is so bad, I just have a bowl of water here near the window. So yes, you want to cut the back of the shrimp, put a nice line on the back, and then just pull out that line. You can cut the front of the shrimp too. I do notice that the wild caught shrimp seem to always have a little bit more gunk inside of them. So clean them thoroughly and then just swish them around in some cold water to get any of the excess gunk off. Okay, so once I'm done cleaning the shrimp really well, I put them off to the side, and this is a new addition that I added to this dish. Usually I do this dish with chicken and shrimp, but on this day I was really craving salmon too. So I just cleaned, this is also wild caught salmon. So I just cleaned the salmon, ran it under some cold water, and I like to leave the skin on, get those good omegas, you know. Do you guys eat the salmon skin? My husband was a little weird about it, but I kind of got him into it. So he does eat the salmon skin now. So I just cut the salmon up really well, and then I'm just tossing it into the same bowl with the shrimp, and then we are going to get ready and make the marinade. So this is 1 pound of shrimp, and I don't remember how many pounds of salmon I got, but you can eyeball it. So I'm using 2 to 3 teaspoons of tamari. You can use soy sauce if that's what you have on hand. Then I'm sprinkling 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder over this, a half a teaspoon of white pepper, and finally I'm using 1 teaspoon of red chili flakes. So then you want to just use your hand and gently toss it around, get all that good marinade mixed in there, and then I just cover it with my bowl cover and move it to the side for a bit. Okay, so lately I have been having a super love affair with caramelized onions. I mean, I love onions always, but lately I just like having them whole and chunky, caramelized in butter. Oh, so good. But anyway, we're just gonna slice them big. You can chop yours up finely if you like. And my neighbor was so gracious to give me some peppers. I meant to get a bell pepper at the market, but I totally forgot. They are such a lifesaver, such wonderful people. Do you guys talk to your neighbors? I have the kind of relationship with my neighbors where we can knock on each other's door and be like, do you have an egg? Do you have peppers? We're always sharing with each other, so I really love that. They're an older couple, so they gave me these lunchbox peppers. But use a bell pepper. You can use red or green. And then I also used about 3 garlic cloves, and then we are going to also use ginger. Now, this ginger gives the dish such a burst of flavor. And the one thing that I am super disappointed about is that I grew so much Thai basil in my spring and summer garden, and I never got around to dehydrating it. Shame on me, it went to waste, I know. But anyway, get some Thai basil. So I have my cast iron on. I put a little bit of butter in it. I'm gonna put a little bit more. This is some Amish butter I got from our local food store. And I'm gonna caramelize the onions. So I'm taking the onions out on the side into this bowl. So now we're going to take our meat and put it in the cast iron. After about a minute or so, you're going to turn these over. I'm so sorry that my kitchen lighting is so bad. So now I am going to plop these shrimp that are done back into the bowl. Okay, so I've got just a hair more butter. I've already scraped out all of the shrimp, and I have the onions, and now. So I'm just sauteing the peppers and the ginger just a little, just for a second in that butter. And then what I'm doing is I grabbed my chicken out of the oven. My chicken has been in the oven all this time on 250 degrees. And now I'm just pouring the chicken broth over the peppers and the ginger to deglaze it and just let it have a nice little simmer. That's why I love saving chicken broth, you guys. Like, I always have chicken broth on hand, homemade, because you always need chicken broth for everything. I always have chicken broth. I always have bone broth. So just let it have that nice little simmer. Okay, so these were the coconut milks that I was telling you guys about. I don't like using things in cans, but listen, it is what it is. The ingredients are organic coconut milk, organic coconut filtered water. There's no gums, there's no weird additives. I always think fresh is best. Make it yourself. You can have control over what is in your food, but this is the brand that I'm gonna be using. Simple, unsweetened, native forest. I am adding both cans of the coconut milk. Once I add it in, I'm just giving it a nice little stir and just still have it on a nice simmer with those veggies. So we still have a few more seasonings that we have to add. So here I have 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder, 4 teaspoons of brown sugar. Feel free to adjust that to taste for you. A half a teaspoon of white pepper, 1 teaspoon of ground coriander, which we're about to put in the spice grinder, and another teaspoon of cumin, which we're also putting in the spice grinder. We're also going to go ahead and add in 2 tablespoons of fish sauce. Now, I love using a spice grinder. I know that many people just buy their spices at the grocery store. We still do buy spices at the grocery store, onion powder, garlic powder, but my next big project is to invest in a dehydrator. There's one on the market that doubles as an air fryer, dehydrator, slow cooker. And because we don't have those things, I told my husband, I was like, I don't want any more kitchen gadgets. I have enough. So I want this all in one. So when I get that, I plan on definitely dehydrating onions and garlic to make my own powders. But for now, I love to order whole spices from, I have a favorite company, and they deliver whole spices. So nutmeg, cumin, coriander, fennel. I love using them. They're so much better because when you grind the spices fresh, they maintain more of their nutrients. They have much more of a richer aroma, and you can really just taste them come through in your food a lot more. So if you don't have a spice grinder and you don't freshly grind your spices or use a mortar and pestle, it's a game changer. So I highly recommend it. It doesn't have to be super expensive. I got this spice grinder on Amazon. All right, so go ahead and add in those spices. My bad, you guys, that the footage is all kinds of blurry. It looked clear when I was looking at it, but listen, y'all, it is tough out here for your girl to be the photographer, videographer, chef. It's hard to be all the things, but trust me, I didn't get the videography right, but trust me, I got the recipe right because it's bomb.com. So sorry about the blurriness, but go ahead and I have the fire on low here. It's just on a light simmer. I had turned it down because obviously filming back and forth takes a little bit of time. So keep that fire on and just keep it at a nice simmer. Okay, I also did not have time to make my own curry. These are both acceptable, but I just want to warn you, even 1/4 of a teaspoon of either one of these is going to make your dish so incredibly spicy. At this point, if you're making this for the family, see my setup. If you're making this dish for the family and for the kids, I would taste it right now. Have a little taste. The sauce is incredible. If your kids do not like spice and you want them to eat this, do not add the curry. Do not add the curry. Don't add it. I'm telling you right now, do not add it because just a little bit is going to make your tongue be on fire. So I'm just going to add just a little bit to mine, just a little. But if you have a family and they don't like spice, do not add this. I'm warning you now. I'm adding just that much. A little bit of that one, and then I'm also going to add a tiny bit of the yellow one as well. I'm going to add that much of the yellow paste, just a little. Now we're going to go ahead and add our meat back into the broth. Turn that fire off because we don't want the meat to be rubbery. It will warm up in the sizzling hot broth. I've just shredded up all that chicken. Has some good flavor. And voila, this is the finished product. It looks absolutely amazing, tastes even better. And this is when I would normally add the fresh Thai basil, but like I said, I didn't save any from my spring and summer garden, so I'm just adding some fresh parsley as a nice garnish here. So this is really great to be reheated on top of the stove. I usually pick out the shrimp so that they don't get rubbery and then add them back in once the soup is nice and hot. And the full written recipe is on sisterfrennn.com. I cannot wait, there it is, for my husband to get home and to try this. It's one of his favorite dishes, and I feel like every time I make it, it gets better. I'm really disappointed because I love being able to tell him, I made it from scratch. I love being able to tell him that. So I'm a little disappointed that I didn't get the coconuts from the Indian market, but nonetheless, this recipe does not disappoint. Like, everyone loves it. And the thing is that I add so much protein because I make a lot of soup here at our house. I make a lot of soup, And my husband is like, I don't need this much soup. So I like to, when I make this, I like to make it with a lot of protein, like the shrimp and the chicken and the salmon. And he really likes it. I have to watch him sometimes because he will spoon out all the protein. I remember the last time I made it, I was like, why is there so much sauce left? He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, you guys have got to make this. And you got to let me know what you think of it. Make it with fresh coconut though, if you can. All right. It is 6:30. I got to go to, no, it's 5:41. I got to go to the gym. I don't feel like it, but I'm headed out. But you guys enjoy this dish.